This is CBC Vancouver News.
If these cops were dealt with, properly at that time, my son may well be alive.
Demanding answers 7 years later, a mother whose son died in a confrontation with police learns disturbing new details.
Words can be quite empty.
Frustration and anger in Bella Bella as 2 Vancouver police officers are a no-show.
The line starts around 8:30 a.m. and it doesn't stop till about 8 p.m. tonight.
The food, the lights, the celebrations. How BC is marking Diwali. Good evening and thanks for joining us. I'm Michelle Ghoussoub. Dan is away tonight. We begin in Bella Bella, where the VPD officers who wrongfully arrested an Indigenous man and his granddaughter at a Vancouver BMO were supposed to travel for a special ceremony. But tonight, our Angela Starrett is bringing us the reaction from the community upon learning those officers would not be coming.
Rumblings that the arresting officers would not be attending the apology feast swept through this community, causing pain and frustration yesterday. But the community was hopeful that the rumors weren't true. While high-ranking constables, including Vancouver Police Chief Adam Palmer and a number of board members, did arrive in the community, the 2 officers that detained Johnson and his granddaughter weren't on board. That's hit the community hard.
I take it very personally.
Johnson hoped the ceremony would provide his family justice after being subjected to trauma at the hands of the officers. In 2019, the VPD responded to a 911 call from the Bank of Montreal claiming a fraud was in progress. The bank manager thought the pair's Indian status cards were fake IDs. On scene, police handcuffed Johnson and his then 12-year-old granddaughter for an hour on a busy downtown street.
I keep thinking if it wasn't First Nations people, they probably would have took me into an office in the building somewhere and did it there. But no, they dragged us out to the street and cuffed me and my granddaughter. That's one thing I'll never ever forget.
A human rights settlement was agreed to between Johnson and the Vancouver Police Board. They agreed to an apology feast and paid $25,000 towards it and make every effort to ensure the arresting officers were present. In a statement today, the Vancouver Police Board said, quote, "We are unable to speak to why the officers are not in attendance, and we hope assumptions are not made regarding the constable's decision to not be at the ceremony." It also added that it's committed to building a relationship with the Celtic Nation and other First Nations communities in the spirit of truth and reconciliation. But for the elected chief of the Celtic Nation, it's not enough.
Well, it sounds really good, but when you don't take that responsibility and accountability to show up, words can be quite empty.
She said under Celtic law, protocols do not allow for people to stand in place of others. That means the ceremony will unfold in a different way.
This uplifting ceremony will be centered on Max and his granddaughter, his grandson, his family, and our community.
The Celtic Nation and Maxwell Johnson are calling the constable's decision to not attend a failure to take responsibility for systemic racism in the Vancouver Police Department. They also worry the decision will overshadow what was meant to be a night of truth and justice. Angela Starrett, CBC News, Bella Bella, British Columbia.
And an update to this story. A brief moment ago, we received word HealthSec leaders rejected Vancouver Police Chief Adam Palmer's apology and gift, saying the officers involved need to come to the community and issue a formal apology. A pedestrian is in hospital with serious injuries after they were hit by a vehicle in North Delta earlier this evening. It happened just before 7 p.m. at the intersection of 96th Avenue and 116th Street. Police say the driver remained on the scene and is cooperating with the investigation. The road is closed and will stay closed for at least another hour. 7 years after a man died in a confrontation with Vancouver police, CBC has learned that 4 of the officers on scene at the time were already under investigation because of another violent arrest. Bethany Lindsay is speaking with Miles Gray's mother as she continues her search for answers.
This paper that I'm going to show you is 7 years old.
In the summer of 2015, Margie Gray got the call. Her son Miles had just been killed in a confrontation with as many as 9 Vancouver police officers. He was unarmed, kicked, punched, kneed and pepper sprayed, bound at both the arms and the legs. His injuries were so extensive, an exact cause of death has never been determined. Another mom, Carol DeBoer, had seen the news.
I don't know, I just had this gut feeling about the situation, and that's when I kind of reached out to Margie thinking there's something wrong here.
Her son Mitchell had had his own run-in with the VPD. His jaw and finger had been broken and his arm bitten by a dog. Both arrests took place in South Vancouver just 6 weeks apart, so DeBoer followed her gut and called Margie Gray. She listed off the names of the officers involved in Mitch's arrest, and Margie Gray wrote them down.
I've had it with me for 7 years. So these are the names of Mitch's police officers that beat him.
It's taken that long for her to confirm the names of the officers involved in her son's death, thanks to a report from the Office of the Police Complaints Commissioner, which is investigating. 4 officers were on both lists.
If these cops were dealt with, properly at that time, my son may well be alive.
I was disgusted, period. They should not be on the job.
One of the constables, Bo Spencer, is now facing an assault charge connected to yet another arrest in 2017. Chief Civilian Director Ron McDonald of the Independent Investigations Office says he sometimes sees the same officers popping up in multiple investigations, but they usually belong to specialized units.
It wouldn't be uncommon to see members of the emergency response team come up more than once. It's not uncommon to see someone who is a dog master come up more than once.
The officers involved in each of these reports, though, weren't involved in those specialized units.
So in general, it would be somewhat unusual in a relatively short period of time to see a normal, regular frontline officer to come up in a series of cases.
In the Miles Gray case, McDonald's team concluded the officers may have committed a crime, but Crown prosecutors didn't approve charges. In Mitchell DeBoer's arrest, the IAO said he'd resisted the officers, quote, at every turn, and they found no wrongdoing. The Vancouver Police Department has declined an interview for this story, but in a statement, Sergeant Steve Addison says the officers were cleared by both the IAO and the OPCC in DeBoer's arrest, and it wouldn't be appropriate to comment on Miles Gray while the OPCC is investigating and a coroner's inquest is pending. At this point, Margie Gray says she has little hope for accountability in her son's death.
The problem is, this shouldn't have happened in the first place. Like, where is the training?
It's just one of many questions that still lingers for this grieving mom. Bethany Lindsay, CBC News, Vancouver.
BC NDP leader David Eby addressed the party caucus at the legislature today as he prepares to become our province's premier. Horgan plans to retire in December to spend more time with his family after his throat cancer diagnosis earlier this year. After a photo op, Eby addressed the caucus saying he's eager to get to work.
Briefly, I wanted to take a moment to thank Premier John Horgan and for his mentorship and leadership. And, really thrilled and excited to be here in Victoria with my colleagues and looking forward to starting the work, and it's an exciting time.
Eby has announced a 100-day plan for the province, but it's still unclear exactly when he'll be sworn in as premier. Today is Diwali, the Festival of Lights. The celebrations, marked by a number of South Asian communities, are looking much larger and more colorful than they have for the past 2 years. Baneet Praich reports.
At this shop, Indian sweets for Diwali celebrations are coming up fresh. The lineup is out the door.
The busiest time of the year, so we have a long line waiting here to wait for some assorted sweets as well as snacks to give to their loved ones as well as to their friends.
Staff are hard at work, preparing at least 1,000 of these assorted sweet boxes a day for Diwali. The sweets made from ingredients like condensed milk, sugar, and nuts.
We're obviously excited. We're very passionate about what we do.
And beyond the sweets, places of worship like this Hindu temple, known as a mandir, are decorating and preparing for bigger crowds as more people return to in-person celebrations.
Over 10 to 15,000 people are come here.
He says that's about double the crowd from last year.
Joy, because good against evil, right? So that's why the feeling of the public is very good on the Diwali day. So it's a celebration.
Diwali is celebrated by several major religions around the world, including Hindus, Sikhs, Jains, and some Buddhists. For each faith, it marks different histories. This Gurdwara is also expecting thousands to attend.
People were holding back from last 2 years. Now everybody's showing lots more enthusiasm, so we will have a lot more people.
Worshippers will pray, volunteers prepare and serve food like roti and rice, and people will light clay oil lamps called divas or diyas. This Diwali is also a time for artists, performers, and spectators to celebrate together. Like here at the Diwali Fest in Vancouver. There's Rangoli art, a chance to paint clay lamps and try Indian food.
Being able to actually interact with our art zones, being able to see performances live, and then also just grab a cup of masala chai while you're enjoying the performances. It's just a different feeling.
Artwork and dance performances highlight diverse regions across India.
Diwali is a very special celebration to a lot of different people from the South Asian subcontinent.
Many who will gather in their own respective ways to celebrate light over darkness, good over evil, and joy. Beneat Brach, CBC News, Surrey.
Well, it was a sight for sore eyes this weekend. Rain returned to much of the province, bringing in cooler temperatures and clearing away the wildfire smoke. Zara Premji braved the wet weather to bring us this report.
I think even those people who really hated the rain are probably breathing a sigh of relief now.
We're thankful that it seems to be over.
The rain has come, and it wasn't just a guest appearance. It may not look like it's sticking around based on what you're seeing, but don't be fooled.
While we will see some breaks to the rain today, a little bit more coming, it looks like towards Wednesday, more to come next week. So there's plenty more rain on the way.
I think it's really helping the environment. I mean, we were definitely in a drought, so I think it's going to really help the smoke, first of all.
No, I'm relieved. Yeah. It's actually been a long time since we actually had rain in Vancouver. So, it's good, There needs to be a balance between sun and rain.
I like it. We had a great summer. Sun was great, but I really miss having a little bit of rain. It certainly changes the grass and whatnot. Things feel a bit fresher.
And that poor air quality that blanketed Metro Vancouver, it's blowing away, as reflected by the Air Quality Health Index forecast, which is low for all parts of the province.
We're really pleased with what things are looking like right now. Air quality is very good across the entire region.
But while the smoke is gone, snow has already started to pop up, with the mountains skipping fall and heading straight to winter. Whistler seeing a big morning snowfall. But while experts are reminding people to break out the snow tires and clear the drains, it's never too late to start other preparations.
Now that we're starting to become part of an off season is to start thinking about next summer and preparing ahead of time for these sorts of events. So that's looking at things like portable air cleaners, identifying clean air shelters within the municipality that you live in, and taking other actions to protect yourself ahead of times.
And meanwhile, some communities remain under a local state of emergency because of the lack of rain during the summer. And if you're starting to see the temperatures dipping down low, remember, we're still a long ways away from seasonal. Zara Premji, CBC News, Burnaby.
Well, there are a lot of ways to build a career. Just ask Abbotsford's Robin Sather. He built his career out of Lego, becoming the world's first ever Lego certified professional.
A Lego certified professional is a skilled Lego builder that has taken their hobby and their passion for these little bricks to the next level and created a career out of it. So I get to do all kinds of Lego-based stuff all over Canada and even all over the world and make cool Lego things happen everywhere. I became a certified professional back in 2005 And the way it happened is I actually helped the Lego company create the program to empower these external builders to do really cool things with Lego. Before then, there really wasn't a lot of opportunity for that. You could go work for the amazing company that is Lego, but you couldn't do it, say for example, for me staying in Canada and doing it, it was not really possible. So I kind of created the job, and Lego loved the idea, and now there's 22 of us all over the world doing this kind of work. We're going to run a little building challenge. Like millions of kids, I had Lego all over my room. I had creations everywhere, and I didn't really stop as an adult. I still kept building. I still had my Lego bricks, and I would make things and have it in my room and in where I lived in college and all those things. I never really quit. I went into IT as a career, but always in the back of my mind was, I really would love to do something with Lego. And so as a second career, I switched from IT into doing Lego building. Everybody gets excited with Lego because they all have a memory of it. This event is one of my first back from the pandemic, really, and it's been wonderful. And people just want to get their hands on the bricks, build together, show off what they can do, celebrate play. So much fun, and it's been a wonderful reaction from people.
I will make it my utmost priority to bring our party and our country together.
Rishi Sunak is Britain's next Prime Minister. We'll learn more about how he plans to change course for the country next. Thanks for staying with us for our commercial-free live stream. Fans of former Whitecap superstar and Soccer Canada mainstay Alphonso Davies may have trouble tracking down his jersey ahead of next month's World Cup in Qatar. Davies is locked in a battle with the national soccer team over money generated from sales of his jersey. As CBC's Georgie Smythe explains, both sides seem to be digging in.
Alphonso Davies keeps it himself!
He's the star player for Canada Soccer. Alphonso Davies, known to fans as Fonzie, the fast-moving wing-back in the number 19 jersey. But that shirt may soon be hard to find. According to a TSN report, his agent says Davies hasn't agreed on a financial deal that would allow retailers to sell it.
I'm not sure this is fair. Told you I was good at saving.
One orange? The 21-year-old does have some endorsements, like a partnership with BMO. His agent reportedly says that, as with those commercial relationships, Davies should benefit from the sales of his jersey.
Biggest stars will have deals in place about using the likeness and royalty deals with the federations.
Sports commentators say deals like this are common in the world of soccer.
Canada Soccer is now learning the reality of being relevant on the world stage when it comes to football or soccer, and they're also learning what it's like to have a bona fide superstar on their team.
It's not the organisation's first public disagreement about money. In June, the team cancelled a game after national team players wanted a larger cut for making the World Cup. Canada Soccer says the players' proposal wasn't financially viable.
Soccer Canada represents 1 million soccer players, and it's not easy for the governing bodies to be in a healthy financial position. And jersey, merchandise, and apparel revenue is a major revenue stream for the association.
The World Cup is just 4 weeks away, not long to resolve a dispute ahead of a competition where team unity is crucial. Georgie Smythe, CBC News, Vancouver.
couple from Kelowna has filed a lawsuit against Swoop Airlines and 2 of its employees, alleging racial discrimination and defamation. Andre Henry and Jody Batiste were escorted off their flight from Toronto in August after a minor dispute about seating. Peel police officers eventually removed the couple from the plane and escorted them out of the airport. Swoop later apologized and reimbursed the couple. None of the defendants have responded to the claim. Rishi Sunak will be the first person of colour to lead the UK. He's also the 3rd person to become the country's Prime Minister in just 7 weeks. Margaret Evans reports.
Another day, another Prime Minister in the United Kingdom. The leadership changes within the governing Conservative Party, whiplash-inducing in recent weeks and months.
Mr. Sunak, can you really unite the party now?
Now, Rishi Sunak, Boris Johnson's former Chancellor, blamed by some for Johnson's downfall, is being touted as a unifier. His was the only name on the ballot. It is an astonishing change of fortune for Sunak.
Who will be our next Prime Minister?
Over the summer, he lost out in a leadership contest to Liz Truss, even though his critique of her economic policies proved prophetic.
That would lead to mortgage rates, interest rates going up to 7%. Can you imagine what that's going to do for everyone here and everyone watching?
Truss is now a footnote of history, drummed out of office by her own MPs. Sunak insists he'll be a healer.
I will make it my utmost priority to bring our party and our country together.
But he inherits a party and a country turned on its head by years of discord in the corridors of power.
6 or 7 years of unprecedented political turmoil with changes of government, with governments unable to govern.
This analyst believes Sunak will still have the shadow of Boris Johnson to grapple with.
There are people within his party who loathe him because of what they think he did to Boris Johnson. In that sense, there are people within his party who want him to fail.
Johnson made a last-minute bid to regain power, returning from holiday to canvass for votes, pulling out over the weekend, a relief for some.
I just think it was chaotic when he was in charge, so I don't want to see that again.
Yeah, I'd rather have Rishi back in office.
Better than Boris.
There are too, of course, many people here still clamoring for a general election. Their chance to choose the country's leadership, they say, for a change.
Here's a live shot of Canby Street and City Hall. Amy will have your full forecast next.
It's hard to tell who's having more fun, David Suzuki or his grandson. But at 75, Suzuki calls this part of his life the death zone. In spite of these celebrations, he's frustrated he hasn't done enough.
My hope is that when I'm on my deathbed, I'll be able to look at each of my grandchildren and say I did the best I could. I don't expect to save the world, but I'll do everything I can until I die.
Suzuki was a hotshot scientist when television came calling.
Hello, I'm David Suzuki.
He's been the host of CBC's The Nature of Things for 30 years. His work showcasing nature with style and humor and an underlying message: humans are using up the planet.
I'm one person, but we, as a group of people committed to trying to protect a future for our children, are now failing very, very big time.
Suzuki's daughter, Severin, says her father has always been hard on himself.
We had to deal with this all our lives, you know, the very, very challenging conversations at the dinner table of the world problems.
All of this could be gone.
Suzuki has been controversial. He helped stop clear-cutting in a part of Haida Gwaii. It made him some enemies. Canada's forest industry has a good relationship with Suzuki now. They didn't always.
Because he has such public credibility, we don't like it at all. I mean, who wants someone with David Suzuki's stature saying that we're doing the wrong things?
He's also been called a sellout for helping Walmart green their stores. Suzuki calls it progress.
Most corporations would have barred the doors if they saw me coming. I mean, they thought I had horns and a tail. Really? Now I'm being invited into the boardrooms of corporations. So something has happened.
And that's something that gives David Suzuki a glimmer of hope on his birthday. Margot McDermott, CBC News, Vancouver.
The first major obstacle to human survival in space is gravity, or rather, the lack of it. On surface, you might think that life in a weightless world is, well, invigorating and freeing, and it is for the most part. But take away our ongoing struggle with the forces of gravity, and the body suffers. Bone loses strengthening minerals, muscles atrophy, and blood pools in the upper organs, weakening the immune system. If humans are to colonize space, they'll have to invent something that mimics gravity and keeps our feet on the ground.
Hi, I'm Amy Bell, and here's what's in your CBC Vancouver inbox.
On November 9th, join CBC British Columbia's Michelle Elliott at a free online UBC alumni discussion about decolonizing arts and culture. Register today at alumni.ubc.ca. And never miss an episode of your favorite CBC drama or comedy again with the free CBC Gem app. Check it out at gem.cbc.ca.
The weather update is brought to you by Direct Buy Furnace, installing the most reliable heating and cooling brand. It's hard to stop a train.
And Amy Bell joins us now for a look at the weather. Amy, the rain, we've been talking about it for weeks. It's finally here.
Yes.
Is it going to stick around?
Yes and no. So long term, yes, definitely heading into a very rainy stretch, but it won't be a complete washout. We will catch these little breaks as we see these systems sort of lining up one after another to move in towards the coast. So we will catch some breaks as we saw today. We started off with heavy rainfall for most areas. We even saw snow on those higher elevation mountain passes and up north of Squamish, but then drying out for the afternoon. Getting set for our next round though, so we'll see a wet overnight, and then tomorrow we'll start off with clouds and be dry once again before we head into some afternoon rain. Should catch a stronger break though on Wednesday, which is great. So this is for the next 24 hours. You can see this next system will be arriving, and we will see snow, a chance of some flurries at those very higher elevations of those mountain passes, but for the most part we are just looking at cooler temperatures right across the province, and then we will head into a bit of a break on Wednesday. You can see that next system sitting off course. That's due to arrive around Thursday. So that's when we will see it. And yeah, it's going to be a wet one. As you can see, though, tomorrow, very, very wet and not the warmest. We're still just looking at those temperatures around 10 or 11, 4 degrees up in Whistler. And of course, Whistler Mountain got a lot of snow today, and we'll continue to get that over the next several days. And we'll continue to see some snow for those mountain passes. A chance of some flurries for Dease Lake tomorrow, but also some sunshine. We're looking at showers right along the north and central coast. Interior, you will get some sunshine, though, in areas around the Okanagan and also as you make your way out towards Cranbrook. So that far southeast corner of the province, just dodging that next system. Won't always be the case, though. It'll catch up with you eventually. So we'll start off with clouds tomorrow and head into that heavier rain. Get out there on Wednesday, soak up any sunshine you can find. It'll be brighter at the start of the day, and then we'll move into some rain and lots of rain for Thursday, Friday, and Saturday.
Well, fall, it's finally here.
It is here.
All right, thanks, Amy.
You're welcome.
And heartbreak tonight as the Canucks lose another home game. This time it was a 3-2 loss against the Carolina Hurricanes. The result marked the Canucks' 7th loss in a row. Vancouver is the only NHL team without a win this season. And that is your late news for Monday. Thank you for joining us tonight. For news anytime, visit our website, cbc.ca/bc. See you tomorrow.